ActionSA is calling on the government to declare a national disaster in the municipality to ensure that emergency resources are made available to assist residents and businesses with water supply. For the latest, we're joined by the party's Eastern Cape Provincial Chairperson, Athol Trollip. Mr. Trollip, good evening to you. Thank you for your time. Look, we're told that right now it's the areas that receive water from the western parts of that municipality that have been worst affected. As things stand, what's the latest that you've heard from residents there?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to again speak about the water crisis in Nelson Mandela Bay. The rest of the country is having beautiful rain this year, and the Eastern Cape and especially Nelson Mandela Bay have had some rain, but we still suffering from a very prolonged drought. The dams in the western part of the city have run dry. One of them, Mpofu Dam, can no longer have water extracted or abstracted from it, and that is a real worry. Our concern is that this has been coming for a long, long time, and that only recently, I think last week, the Nelson Mandela Bay asked the provincial government to intervene. I mean, that's like having the blind leading the blind, because the provincial government hasn't covered itself in glory with regards to drought mitigation in the province. And our biggest concern is that we haven't seen a plan from anyone that says we predict day zero in 20 days' time or in 30 days' time, and this is what we're going to do counting down from that day. And that is why we've called for a state of emergency, where we can put collective minds together that have handled these situations effectively in others, because it's quite clear that in Nelson Mandela Bay, the infighting and the instability is mitigating against dealing with the fact that we're going to run out of water. And the people who live on the western part of the city, Karigo, used to be called Uteneg, and Kwanabuche, and Seaview, and Warmer, and Summerstrand, and places like that, they're just going to run out of water. And I've already seen that the city is setting up some tap systems where people will go with their buckets and queue for water and the water bottles and so on. I mean, you can't run a city equally like that. You can maybe help residents to get water to conduct domestic, chores and lifestyle issues. But you can't run a city out of taps that you have to queue up for. And that's our concern. Our concern is that more people are going to lose jobs. Already there's massive unemployment in the Eastern Cape. The whole country, the ANC leadership from national government to provincial government and in Nelson Mandela Bay seem to be just, praying that it'll rain. That's not good enough. You need to have a proper disaster mitigation plan, and you need intervention to know what they're doing.
One of the things that has been spoken about is that you have quite a number of farmers that are out in that region and whose dams are full, and there seems to be more water in some instances on private property than what is available to the rest of the public. Do you think that engagements between officials and some of these commercial farmers could help alleviate the current crisis?
Look, there isn't one commercial farmer whose dam might be full. I don't believe there are any dams. I don't believe there's one dam that belongs to a commercial farmer that will mitigate any of the water disaster that we're faced with. The dams simply aren't big enough. I mean, a dam like Kocha Dam, within a week, it's empty at the moment. So dams that will deal with this crisis. A city that gets all of its water from the very same dams that supply water to the western part of the city of Nelson Mandela Bay. They've already started watershedding in Kocha municipality. So the writing is on the wall that we're going to run out of water in Nelson Mandela Bay, which is the biggest metro in the province. And that's just because there's been a complete lack of foresight, planning, preparation, and mitigation against this problem. We still have some of the highest water losses of all metro cities in the country, and the ANC-led coalition government is just not doing anything about addressing that issue. I think there's between 46% and 50% of non-revenue water losses in Nelson Mandela Bay, and that's water that's lost through leaks and also water that's lost through an inept billing system. So people are using water and not being billed for it, and the rest of the water is just running down the road.
Let's wrap up here then, Mr. Trollip. What are your solutions as ActionSA? Give me the 2 low-hanging fruit that you believe, if actioned tomorrow, can help in a turnaround here.
Well, the very first one is there needs to be a plan that is communicated to every citizen of Nelson Mandela Bay, and we need to start implementing the shutdown of water or slowing down of water so that people don't run out of water. So there needs to be a massive information campaign that people understand that unless they do something drastic, they're going to run out of water. That's the very first thing, and that needs to be publicized, and it needs to be drummed into every household on a daily basis about how to save water and what mitigating water-saving measures one can use. That's the very first thing. There needs to be a plan, and everyone needs to know what the plan is and how it's going to be implemented. Then simply, there needs to be a collaboration between the municipality and the business chamber and all the business people that want to come on board but are often prevented due to administrative bureaucracy from sorting out leaks. We have an archaic water infrastructure in Nelson Mandela Bay that just can't cope with fluctuating water pressures, which causes more and more leaks. And we should be all hands on deck kind of attitude where we say, despite the bureaucratic and administrative thresholds that make it difficult for private sector to get involved, we want a collaboration between the private sector and the public sector to address this crisis so we don't run out of water in the biggest metro city in Nelson Mandela Bay, which is also the economic engine room of the province. So those are the 2 main things that I believe should be looked at urgently.
All right, Athol Trollip, he's with ActionSA. He is the provincial chairperson there. We'll leave it on that note for tonight.